Welcome to Unforbidden Truth. I'm Andrew. Today I'll be speaking with convicted serial killer William Holbert, aka Wild Bill, about how his life has been in a Panamanian prison. Bill speaks about some of the homicides that have recently taken place there, and how his efforts have been trying to be transferred to the United States to serve the remainder of his prison sentence. William Dathan Holbert, also known as Wild Bill, is an American criminal notorious for his involvement in a series of murders in Central America. Born in 1978, Holbert initially lived a life marked by petty crimes and a series of failed ventures. His criminal activities escalated when he moved to Central America, where he began a spree of violent crimes. Bill's most infamous acts was his involvement in the murders of several people, including his business partners and acquaintances, whom he killed to steal their assets. His crimes, which were driven by greed and desire to evade legal troubles, ultimately led to his capture. Holbert was arrested in 2010 and subsequently sentenced to 46 years in a Panamanian prison for his heinous acts. His case garnered significant media attention due to the brutal nature of his crimes and his dramatic capture. Here's my interview with serial killer William Holbert, aka Wild Bill. So Bill, we haven't spoken over a year now. How has your life been in a Panamanian prison since then? And has there been any murders or gang wars since we last spoke? I know the prison you're in is pretty notorious for gang violence. Last but not least, how have your efforts been in regard to trying to get transferred into America to serve the remainder of your prison sentence?
Hey everybody, it's me, Brother Wild Bill. I'm back. How have I been? How's life been in the Panamanian prison sentence? A lot of shit's happened to me since the last time I've been on. I don't know when it was, probably like May or something of last year. In July of last year, this is what happened to me. I'll try to explain it. I was in Sector C, which is like the worst place you can be in a Panamanian prison. It's like Supermax, right? There's only 20 cells in each cell block, and there's one man to a cell, and it's like solitary confinement. They only let you out an hour a day. But I had a job, actually. I had a really good situation, but I was in Sector C. I didn't want to be there, right? I shouldn't be there. And, I'm there with all the killers and all the work. I mean, I'm a killer, but I mean, like, I behave really well. And so there's a lot of gun battles and shit that happen here, and literally between prisoners. Anyway, so I fought like hell with the help of the United States Embassy in this time period to get out of Sector C. And the prison, this is like a movie, because the prison has this warden named Linda Moreira, and she is an ex-police officer. She's a retired ex-police commissioner. So how could they possibly put anybody worse in charge of a prison than a fucking police commissioner? Like a person who spent their whole life apprehending and mistreating criminals, that's who they're going to put in charge of taking care of our human rights. What the fuck? Anyway, so that's what they did. And she is a piece of work, let me tell you. And so she became angry because she said no, I had to stay in Sector C, but I went over her head, and the people above her said, let Bill out, he's cool, he's doing a good job, he's the pastor there, and he's not ever caused any problems, so let him out. So this is what they did. They came and did like an interview with me and all that. Her and the head of security came and did an interview with me and said, well, we're going to let you out and you go to Sector B. But I got a lot of friends in Sector B, which is like a medium security sector. So I was like super excited about it. I was like, cool. And my friend Charlie also was going to get out. And so we were going to go together and go to a cell block down there, and the bottom was got like 200 guys in it, and like it was going to be like I already had it in my mind how it was going to be so fucking cool, So I left the church in the hands of a friend of mine, and because I'm the pastor of the church on the inside, if you didn't know, and I know that seems strange that I would be the pastor of a church, but I preach Jesus Christ, and I preach the law of attraction, both things, and I think that's what Jesus Christ actually preached. Well, I don't want to get off on the tangent about religion right now, but so we believe in being the change you want to be. If you want to be loved, if you want good things in your life, you have to be loved. You have to treat other people that way, and so that's what we preach, and we got a really good church. And so I left it in the hands of a friend of mine, and me and Charlie packed up all our shit and went upstairs to wait on because Sector C, this is hard to explain, but Sector C is ran by the police, the National Police of Panama. So it's like a really hard-ass place, And when you go to to a regular prison, it's run by civilian guards, just like an American, like COs, correctional officers, not by police. But the police here are cool with me. I was here for 5 years, and they're cool. They let me do as much as they can. As far as with the church and stuff. And so anyway, so we go upstairs. We're waiting. So the warden comes. The lady warden comes, which, forgive me for saying, you may not like what I'm about to say, but it's a terrible fucking idea to put a woman in charge of a men's prison. And just like it's a terrible idea to put a man in charge of a woman's prison, that shouldn't be that way. I don't care. I know we're in the 21st century or whatever, but it shouldn't be that way because having dealt with lots of women wardens and men wardens, the men wardens are more understanding. The women warden feels like that she has to be harder than anybody else so that the men will respect her because she has not an inferiority complex necessarily, but she has a fear that someone might see her as weak. And a man doesn't have this problem. And a man in charge of a women's prison isn't a good idea either because he fucks all the girls. And that's happened here in Panama many times that the prison warden is a man in a women's prison. And what a great job for a man, because like, bring that bitch in here. And so anyway, I'm sorry. You may find these things politically incorrect, but I'm a dinosaur from the old age and I just tell it like it is. And I don't think that, anyway, so she comes in and so we're like excited. We're all happy and she sees us happy and you can just see that pisses her off. And so the head of security, the head guard comes in with her and says, "You guys are going to extreme security in Sector B." And I'm like, "What? That's like the booby hatch. It's like where you put people who are crazy." I'm like, "What?" And like, "Why would we go there?" And he says, "Well, we're gonna evaluate you." And I said, "Oh, cool. So it'll be like 15 days or 30 days or something like that, right? To get evaluated, and then you'll move us to where we want to go." And he's like, "Not necessarily." And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? Why are we going to the like the mental ward? There's nothing. We're not crazy, And so I'm like, what? Fuck it. I'm not worried about it. Let's go. So my friend Charlie balked. He wouldn't go. He didn't want to go. He was afraid. And I'm like, me. I'm Wild Bill. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna go. So I went. Holy horse shit in a handbag. The place had 16 cells and 58 men. And when I say cells, I'm like little bitty ass one-man cells. It had one-man cells with one bed. Each cell had like 5 guys in it. Look, that was the only thing about being Wild Bill. They gave me my own cell, which was okay. But these guys are crazy. They literally are not insane. There's 3 classes of men who are in that cell block. Crazy motherfuckers that are so crazy that they throw shit at each other and piss at each other through the door and stuff. I'm not joking. Like you walk by and they throw shit on you. Like they're crazy. Like one guy thinks he's a dog. Crazy. I'm not joking. And then there are the rats, the ones that have ratted on other people and everybody wants to kill. They're there. How wonderful that is. And then there are like a bunch of gay guys there that like there's a pavilion, a cell block of homosexuals. And they're cool. They're just part of the integral part of the prison, right? But they separate them. But when one of their people behaves really poorly, and the other ones can't, the other gay guys can't deal with that person, they send them to that place. So you got like crazy transvestites, crazy prisoners, and the rats. And they put me in there. And I'm like, what the fuck? Well, anyway, so immediately everybody elects me as their pastor and their leader. So like I was there, I got there on the 24th of July of 2023 last year. And I stayed there for 5 months. And during that time period, they wouldn't let anybody out of prison. They wouldn't let anybody out of the cells, excuse me. Like everybody's locked in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I put in a writ to the Supreme Court, which was answered, and they said they have to give everybody there 2 hours a day of patio. I became like the champion, They thought, man, like I'm like a wizard, That like I can't believe Bill got us let loose. So I started doing that. I started taking care of them. I organized the groups. The guards, prison guards everywhere always love me immediately because I'm corrupt as hell and I give money to the prison guards. That's one thing. And then another thing is I do everything I can possibly do to make everything run smoothly for the guards. The guards end up literally like I'm like Joseph in the Bible. The guards literally end up giving me the key ring to let people in and out of their own cells and stuff. And so like they don't have to do anything. A guy goes and sits on his ass in there and drinks Coca-Cola that I just bought. So, he's prison guards. I never have a problem with prison guards. Cops, whatever, any kind of prison guard, I never have a problem. They always help. Anyway, so I started running the church. So we organized another church there, and you're talking about the saddest, most horrible situation. I mean, like, there's a guy named Miguel there that we called Mai, and Mai had lived in Texas. He was a Panamanian black guy, like an African Panamanian, and he lived in Texas for a while and spoke perfect English. But Mai was crazy as a bedbug, but he wasn't crazy. He was crazy, but he wasn't crazy. He was like functional, you know. But my God, how they treated him so badly, the guards and stuff like that. And so I worked on trying to get that straightened out as well. Like, this guy doesn't need to be in prison. He needs to be in like a manicomio, like a place where, like a mental institution where you can help him, because he's not a bad guy. And like, if you gave him some medication or something, he'd be okay. It's like when there isn't any medication, when he's like nuts. And like, the Panamanians just can't follow that train of thought. Anyway, and so I had some help from the prisoners too. The actual prison, the church of the prisoners there, came in and helped a lot with the. Hang on, I'm reading these questions as they come in. Okay, and so anyway, so I tried to help these people, right? And one day it was in January of this year, on the 10th of January this year. No, the 9th. A man came named Didier from Dia Dia, which is the biggest newspaper in Panama, came to the visit, and I didn't have a visit with anybody. I just chose him to come, and he came and we did an interview. But I did it like in a real legal way, right? Because he came to the visit. He visited me like as if he was a visitor, and we did the interview in the visit. And we didn't record it or anything. He just wrote it all down, and then he wrote a killer article about it, you know, about how there's no rehabilitation whatsoever. And I mean, it was really a killer article. And maybe Andrew, you could include a link to that article. I'd be happy to find that article for you. And you can include a link. Anybody could read it if they wanted to. But he wrote this killer article about how Bill's trying to help the people and blah blah blah. So anyway, the prison authorities went ape shit. So that was on the 9th. On the 10th, they come down for a search, and I was sitting in my room on my telephone, talking on telephone, and they come down for a search. And I'm like, well, fuck it, here. I just like, here, have it, you know, because I'm not going to try to hide it. You just saw it. So here, have it, so you'll leave me alone. And I thought, no big deal, you know, because that in prison here, having a cell phone is una falta leve, which means like a light disciplinary infraction, a minimum disciplinary infraction, which like covers like they could close you in for 24 hours for that, you know, like not give you your exercise time tomorrow or something. It's like nothing. So the next day they came and said, well, you can't go out, and I'm like, I expected that. But then they left me in, and I was locked in for several days. And then on the 15th, they marched to me. They came with chains and chained to me hand and feet, which is something that doesn't happen in a Panamanian prison very often, and marched me back to Sector C, to the shithole where I just got out of. So they did a junta técnica, which is a trial. They did a trial. And in that trial, the warden came, and she read the charges against me. She says, on the 9th of January... on the 10th of January, a search was done of your cell, and in your cell was found a telephone. And I said, yeah, that's true, but a phone is a falta leve. It's not something really, not a big deal. So I don't understand why you're bringing me back to like maximum security. It's like I tried to escape or something. And she said, also in your cell, they found a .38 caliber handgun and a handcuff key. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I said, and I thought really quickly there, it's a trial, right? And she's the judge. And so, like, the prosecutor in that trial are the guards. And so I said, I want to see the gun. Where's the gun? Because nobody found a fucking gun in my cell. Nor a handcuff key. Where are these items? Where are the photos of these items? Where are they? And the guards start squirming. And so there was a guard there that I know is a Christian guy. And so I said, hey, you, Martinez. I said, did you find a gun in my cell? And he said, the only thing that was found in Bill's cell was a telephone. And I'm like, and so the warden freaks out. She's like, because this is being recorded by the police. And I said, like being recorded, videoed by the police. And so I said, well, what the fuck am I doing here if you a bunch of corrupt assholes are trying to charge me with like escaping from a prison or something, and I didn't do any of that. And so she freaks out. She's like, why did you send me this? She says to the head guard, why did you send me an inform, which is like the disciplinary form, that's not correct? And the prison guard said, because you asked me to. Like, bitch, we know who the enemy is. You're the one that's trying to fuck this guy, not us. And so all the charges fell, but they left me in Sector C. And I've been here for another 6 months since January this year. But again, immediately the cops put me back in charge. I'm in charge of the church, back in charge of everything, and I'm still fighting to get out. That's my current situation in a nutshell. I get on with the police. I don't get on with the prison warden. So, well, fuck. Here we are, and that's just all we do. So, but it don't matter. I just got into a new. I just changed cell blocks like in the last 2 weeks, and there's cell phone signal here. Ha ha ha. So, thank God for that. So anyway, next question. Have there been any murders since I've been there? Yes. Holy shit in a handbag. The second time I said that in this interview. There was a couple of... This is what happened, right? So two pavilions pavilions are cell blocks. Two cell blocks begin to fight, and they're rival gangs, ran by rival gangs, and they begin to fight. When I say fight, that means they're shooting at each other because there are guns inside a Panamanian prison in the hands of prisoners, just so you know. And that's a very normal thing. So they start shooting at each other, and holy shit... This has never happened in Panama. Never. What I'm about to say has ever happened. So they start shooting each other. That's normal. But some second lieutenant police officer, just out of school, that don't know his ass from a hole in the ground, goes walking through the middle of their gunfire, and they just fill him full of bullets. And he kills it, and he dies. Holy shit. End of the fucking world. They killed a cop. And not only did they kill a cop, they killed an officer. The guys weren't trying to kill the officer. The two guys that did this are actually in the cell block where I am now. Both of them are named Joel, by the way, and they're both here with me right now. Like I'm looking at them as I look out the cell here. They're on the other side of the prison, looking at me. Anyway, and so these guys, we just murdered a dumbass cop. And what the cops know that when the gun battles here start, you just run away. They just run away. This kid's like, I don't know what he was thinking. He walked in the middle of rival gangs shooting at each other. I guess it was natural selection that killed him at the end of the day. But anyway, so he got killed. And poor bastard, really. I mean, he was a young kid, he was like 22 years old. Can you imagine? Anyway, so they began searching. But when I say they search, they don't really search. They smash and destroy and beat the piss out. They took us all outside. Now I'm not even in. There's three prisons. Excuse me. There's three prisons where I am. There's La Jolla, La Jollita, and the La Mega Jolla. I'm in the La Mega Jolla. The La Jolla, which I can see out the window, is where this happened. But they didn't make any distinction about who was in whatever prison. Everybody got the same treatment. They marched us outside naked, except for you're in your underwear. You're in your underwear. They marched us outside, tied our hands, didn't handcuff us, tied our hands behind our backs, pushed everybody down in the mud, and began spraying everybody down with pepper spray. And I don't know if you've ever had that pepper spray on you, but it's incredibly painful. Incredibly painful. Think about bathing yourself in gasoline and lighting yourself on fire. That's how painful it is. Literally, not exaggerating. And so anybody that tried to get up and run got the shit beat out of them. The goon squad's there with the sticks, And the goon squad is it's like a sport. And so literally you just have to deal with it. You have to lay there and vomit, and it was a very difficult day, you might imagine. So for the one cop that got killed, they killed 6 prisoners, died of what do you call it? What's the word? Suffocation. But we don't count here. This is a concentration camp. We don't give a fuck if they kill us or not. And so people who had nothing to do with it at all. That's one thing that happened. And then they killed a guy in Sector A. I'm not even really sure what that was about. This is another thing that happened. This is something that happened that's interesting. There's a guy named Jorge Rodriguez. Jorge Rodriguez, I got to know him when I was in the Extrema in the booby hatch in the crazy place. He's a gay guy, and this is what happened to him. I wanted to tell his story because his story merits being told. Actually, his story merits his own show, but I'm going to tell the story anyway. They put Jorge... The reason they put the gay guys all in one pavilion is because the supposedly straight guys will rape the gay guys, and that's why they don't put them. They put all the gay guys together for their own security and protection. And so for some reason, they took Jorge and they put him in a pavilion in a cell block full of gangbangers, pandilleros, and gangbangers. And so these gangbangers passed him around like a party favor for 2 weeks, and finally he got out. Finally he got out in the visit and screamed bloody murder that he's been raped 60 times a day. And so the cops took him and stuck him in a punishment cell. He's getting raped, so they stick him in a punishment cell. This is fucking prison. Prison in Panama. I think it's prison everywhere. Anyway, so they come to him and say, "Aren't you pissed off that they raped you?" And he said, "Yes, but I'm kind of pissed off at you guys too because nobody wanted to help me." He's like, "No, but it was the prisoner's fault, wasn't it?" And he's like, "Yes." And he's a young kid, he's only like 20 years old. So the cops work on him. They're not cops; they're the prison guards. They work on him. So this prison guard says, "Don't you want to rat on them to get back at them?" And so they entice him to rat on them. And this is what they do. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I didn't believe it, and I asked a couple prison guards. I didn't believe the story when the first time I heard it. They dressed him in a prison guard's outfit and put one of them ski masks on him that they use when they come to beat the shit out of you, when they come for searches. They put one of them ski masks on him, one of them face shields on him, and marched. And they took everybody out, and they marched him past them. They don't know who he is because he's all dressed up, And inside, and he shows everybody where all the guns and stuff are in there. Well, it's a prison in Panama. It don't take very long for that news to get out, and so now everybody wants to kill him. First they raped him, and now they want to kill him. And so what do they do with him? They put him in the booby hatch where I was, and he told his story. And I thought, what a fucking bunch of assholes that the guards are, that they would abuse this kid that way, and the fact that he's dumb, he don't know shit from shat, and he's dumb, and he put himself in a situation where, without really being aware of what was happening to him, that he would first be raped, and then there's like they want to kill him. And so that's his situation now. He's stuck in the booby hatch. You can't leave the booby hatch because it's the only place where he's protected. So he has to live, and he's a pretty normal kid. I mean, I thought he was a pretty normal kid. He's about 22 years old now. His name's Jorge Rodriguez. He's about 22 years old now. He's a gay guy, a little bit an effeminate man, very, very polite, he's a nice kid. Anyway, so I don't know what will happen. What has happened to him? I haven't had any contact with him since January, since they brought me back to Sector C. But that's two of the biggest things that have happened that I know of in this prison since I've been here. The drug trade on the inside, the drug trade, which is controlled by the police and the guards, continues. The arms trade on the inside, which is controlled by the prison guards and the police, continues. Just business as usual when the rest of us are scratching to eat and scratching to see our loved ones and stuff. Now, this is what I did about trying to get to America. This is the story about that. So I got a hold of a public defense attorney through my cousin. My cousin Amber is like my best friend in the world, and she lives in Michigan. I won't say where, and she fought to get me set up with a public defender, a federal, and I did. And I won't mention the public defender's name either because I'm not really. Well, you'll see why at the end of the story. So anyway, so this woman seemed very helpful at first, and I tried to get her to pressure the embassy to help me. But the United States Embassy fucking hates me, and I don't know why. When Obama was president, and I'm not political. I'm not an Obama fan. I am not an Obama fan. I am not a Trump fan either. When Obama was president, but we have to tell the truth. When Obama was president, the embassy was so helpful. Holy shit, they come to see me every 3 months, brought me food and stuff, brought me toiletries. I mean, like super, super wonderful. I mean, I just took it for granted. I thought, well, that's just how the American embassy is. And the reason I said that is because the Costa Rican embassy, which I know the Costa Rican ambassador, he also is that way with the Costa Ricans who are in prison here. I thought, well, it's just normal for the embassies to be that way. So I took it for granted that the embassy was so wonderful. Then Trump took over and put his own Nazis in there. And I'm not an anti-Trump fan. There's things about Trump I like, actually, and there's things about Obama that I like as well. But Trump put some Nazi in here that decided that prisoners don't deserve anything, and they even stopped visiting us. They visit us once a year, and they're like, they don't bring us anything. Actually, the last time they came, they brought me 3 bottles of vitamins. That was actually pretty cool. But anyway, and so they didn't do nothing. They won't do nothing. And now that Trump's gone, I don't know if it's the same. If Uncle Crazy Biden, Uncle the I call him El Abuelo Loco, the crazy grandfather, Biden didn't put anybody. Didn't. I was expecting that maybe the change would come back. I'm not political, so I'm not making fun of anybody's politics. Just making fun of the people. But I was expecting maybe that Biden would put people in the embassy would return to being good again. That didn't happen. Anyway, and so just finally, it took me a year just to get my paperwork in. I got my paperwork in July. Then I called the defense attorney, the public defender, the federal public defender. It's a lady. I called her back, and she was like, "The embassy said that you're problematic. That you're problematic, and the embassy said that you can't believe anything you say." And then she was a bitch to me from that moment on. And I'm like, what the fuck? How can this even be? And like, my question is, why does the embassy think I'm problematic and like lying? Why? I haven't ever lied to the embassy, or other than the fact that I killed Americans. I didn't kill Panamanians, you know. I killed American fugitives and so other criminals. I killed American criminals, and so maybe. But I don't know. The embassy was nice to me for 8 years, and so I don't know what happened. The short is that they told me that my being able to come back to the United States is probably a fucking pipe dream. That's probably not going to happen. And so I bought a book that I should get on Thursday, actually. I bought a book and fought my ass off to get it here about federal prisons and to be aware of how federal prison is in the United States and what to expect and so on and so forth. Like what to expect when you're going to federal prison. That's what the book is. But I think that, I don't know. Maybe, who knows, miracles happen to me all the time. Good things happen to me, and I'm not just closing the door on that. But the officials are like, there's pretty much no way that they're going to approve you, but we'll process your paperwork anyway. So that's what happened with that. I'll tell you something. If you ever get put in fucking prison in a foreign country, don't let it be Panama for like a lot of different reasons. One, because how bad the prison system is, but two, by how shitty the embassy takes care of their people here. And it ain't just me. There was I had a dear friend, actually. A dear friend of mine, he wasn't my friend when he came into prison. I didn't know him, named Rigo. I won't give the rest of his name or anything, but he was a fella in Florida who the embassy had arrested here in Panama, was wanted, and they took him back to Florida, and he would know about how terrible the Panamanian authorities treat Americans and how shitty the embassy is. And then another friend of mine who's doing time in Chiriquí, and I also want, his name's Ryan, but I won't give him his information either. That motherfucker, they won't help him at all either. It won't help him at all. And it didn't used to be that way. They used to help everybody. I got a Facebook group called Friends of Brother Bill. Come and find me on Friends of Brother Bill, especially if you're feminine and cute. I like them. Anyway, that's a joke. I'm a horny bastard, but it is a joke. Anyway, but it is true. Actually, I've got like there's in a moment there's someone who has my interest captured, if you want the truth. But anyway, but if you want to talk to me, you can come and converse with me. I want to talk to you. Listen, I got a book written out called Long Live the King Wild Bill. I'm asking Andrew if he'll post those two links, the link to my Facebook group and the link to my book, Long Live the King Wild Bill, and this in the description box. So you pull the description box down, you figure out how to get a hold of me, and you want to know what I'm about, you want to know what my religion's about, you want to know about what it's like to be in a Panamanian prison, check out Long Live the King Wild Bill. It's about my first year in prison and my escape, my original escape from justice, and my capture, which was insane in Nicaragua. Time in Nicaraguan prison, time in Panamanian prison, 1,001 murders, sexual exploits with hookers during prison transfers, all kinds of shit like that is in there, and it's all true. And I wrote it myself. Anyway, and so it's all there. It's my first attempt. I got a second book. If you're a publisher, if you're somebody who works with prisoners, if you're somebody who works in true crime and want to publish a book I wrote called Concentration Camp 2000 about Panamanian prison, well, drag your ass over to Facebook and get a hold of me, and so let's talk, because I've got this killer book, second book written that I need to get edited and I need to get published, but I don't really want to self-publish it. I want to become a published author. So hey guys, I love each and every one of you. I thank you guys. Jesus Christ loves you. I love you too. I'm Brother Wild Bill. A lot of people hate me, but I don't give a fuck. I'll be straight with you. And so I'm really looking forward to the rest of my life. It's going to be good. I'm getting out of prison someday. And anyway, lock up your daughters, lock up your wives. Lock up your back door and run for your life. Anyway, love you guys. I'll catch you on the other side.
That was my interview with Wild Bill. For extra content, ad-free episodes, merch, and more, head on over to unforbiddentruth.com. Thank you for listening. Catch you on the next one.